everyone, welcome back to A Novel Affair.
Today, we are bringing you a special episode of A Novel Affair where we dive a little bit deeper into the Sarah J. Maas universe and discuss more about the Acotar Crescent City plotline as it unfolds in House of Flame and Shadow.
And if you want all the smut book conversations that the King YouTube does not allow us to have, head over to our podcast where we discuss these books unfiltered and uncensored, including all the dirty details. Just look for the link below.
So let's get started. We're going to start out with our Cast the Book, which I'm excited
Oh,
about.
who do you want to do first?
Um, okay, I'll start us out with Hypaxia and Adore, our favorite resident um, witch queen, former witch queen, depending on how you look at it. um, I'll go first. So this was actually inspired by a conversation that you and I had had before about how she
Mhm.
was giving like Mary Poppins vibes. And so
Yeah.
I picked Emily Blunt, and she played Mary Poppins in the new Mary Poppins reboot. And I thought she did a really good job. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where my head went with my Hypaxia casting.
I I can see it. I can totally see it. It works. Uh,
Um, what about you?
I chose Cat Graham, which it, in Vampire Diaries she does play a witch, so I think in my mind it kind of connected to her, but I also feel like she's got the right look. Like she can be that regal princess
I
if she
like
needed
it.
to be. But I've
I
also
like
seen
it.
her cast spells too
As a
and
yeah, no,
raise the
that
dead and do some sketchy shit. So I'm like, yeah.
that totally tracks. Yeah, I think that I like it. I can see it. I didn't ever watch that, but um I like it. I like the casting.
Yeah.
So let's do Lydia Servos, the Hind, next. And you go first this time.
I chose Halston Sage for Lydia.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
I won't lie, I don't really know if I've seen her, like, I don't, I can't guarantee that I've seen her movies or anything like that, but I've
Yeah.
seen her throughout social media and clips of like celebrity stuff.
Sure, sure.
But she for me she has that look because in the book Lydia is described as still young. She's like
Mhm.
the youngest to make it that far with the Asteri. And so she's got that look, but she's also got that dead look in her eyes if she needs to.
Yeah. I, for
But if you
sure.
look her up, she can do both. She also has a look of like softness to her if she needed it. It fit for me. But who did you choose?
I chose Charlize Theron. And specifically, she plays uh, Fury in Mad Max, which is like
Mm-hmm.
this super like badass, but she can also play like the gorgeous blonde, long hair character. And so I felt like she could totally pull this off. And
Yeah.
I, it was weird the description of the hind having this long hair. And so I don't know why, but I always just imagine like somebody like that having like these severe short haircuts. But Charlize Theron
Right?
can like pull off that. I think she could still be badass and still look how like she's described here. So that's
Yeah.
why I went with that.
I like it. I can see it. And I loved her in Mad Max.
Didn't you? Was she your cast pick for somebody else that we cast?
Yes. Uh,
Danica, maybe?
I think maybe. There's so many characters at this
I
point,
know
they're
this is
jumbled.
our
Not
third
gonna
cast
lie.
the book segment, so
We're at
they
like
start to run
character
together.
15.
Yeah. So then, what about Baxian Argos?
So for Baxian, I chose Shamar Moore.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
I love me some Shamar Moore.
It
Yeah.
yeah. It just fit for me. He's very serious, but he's also kind of playful from time to time and always has like some comeback no matter what.
And he has
And
really
it's
intense eyebrows.
yeah. Now I can't
Yeah.
say if Baxian is bald or not, but
I mean, he totally could be.
it doesn't describe his hair. Or does it? Does he have black hair? I feel like he had. Maybe that's just his fur. I don't know at this point. I don't know anymore.
Well,
But that's who I chose.
I can't say that I recall his specific description just like off the bat, but I can tell you that my casting is a little weird because I'm not a pro wrestling fan, okay? But the guy that I chose is from the pro wrestling world. And I only know his like wrestling name, which is Roman Reigns. And I just picture this like ridiculously muscled, like dark. I pictured him with long
Yeah.
hair just because he seems kind of like unkempt. You know, um,
I used to have such a huge crush on Roman Reigns.
really, I
Yeah.
was not
I
expecting you to
never
have
watched
known who that was at all.
I never watched wrestling, okay, but my best friend did.
Got
And
it.
there was a
Got it.
thing for him for sure. I guess I've always just kind of leaned toward the dark and mysterious.
I'm not obviously like I have a crush on him. Obviously, I just didn't expect you to know who he was. I have Baxian was gonna be somebody that like I was here for.
Right.
So this one was hard for me, and I think I ended up changing it at the last minute from what I had originally picked. But who was your pick for Einar Dannon, the Autumn King?
I
Yeah, he's terrible, but also
chose
kind of a major character.
I chose John Hamm and I specifically chose this photo because I just imagine the Autumn King perpetually with this face.
This is a really good casting, and I think it was more probably true to what I envisioned, but I couldn't find the right actor to go with what I envisioned. So I
Right.
ended up going with a villain that I felt like would match, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
an actor that played a villain that I felt like would match.
I had to give up on looking for a redheaded
No.
actor.
Mm-mm.
It's the same four actors, guys, in
Yeah.
case you were wondering.
We're very
Four males.
underrepresented, just saying.
I'm so
Um
sorry, Tara. It's a loss to your community.
um your casting wins on this one for sure. So the name of my choice is Mads Mikkelsen. And what I knew him from was a James Bond movie. He's a Bond villain.
Hmm.
And he just has one of those anything he says is probably going to piss me off kind of vibes, especially like in that movie or in movies he plays villains. So
I
But
like it.
I did picture him with that dark hair like you're casting. So
Yeah.
you beat me on
I
this
like
one.
yours. I like yours too, though. I like it. Although, based on what I've seen him do in movies, I feel like he's way more capable than the Autumn King.
Valid. That's valid.
But I do like the look of it is
Yeah.
very it.
He was a very like I don't know. It was about the vibes. Okay, so here is talk about like casting a villain. Uh
Yeah.
our last casting is for Rigulus.
I want to hear yours first because I feel like mine is might surprise.
Okay. Well, I actually have, you may notice I have two photos for Rigulus. Okay.
Hmm.
And the first one is actually a video game character from Persona 3 Golden. And
I love you.
he is, I have to say that he is what I picture whenever I read this
I
because it literally, I just went to look for somebody who I thought resembled this character.
yeah.
Takaya is his name in the video game, and he plays a really like uh, I don't know if you can spoil a game that's as old as Persona 3, but like he ends up being like the bad guy. He's part of Strega, and they are not friends. So, um, but the actual actor, because I felt like that was cheating to
Mm.
pick cast a character with another character.
I
Um,
casted fan art in for Therian,
that's true.
or like
So
I've
I get a
yeah.
pass.
I think
Okay.
at this point we can do anything.
My
It's our
actual
podcast.
casting I took directly off of this guy's IMDb. The actor's name
Mhm.
is Harry Lloyd, but he plays Daenerys Targaryen's brother in Game of Thrones, and he has that like long white hair and like the general like asshole-ish vibe.
Yeah,
So,
hated that dude.
nothing against Terry Lloyd, but I wouldn't have been able to like name him. But like again, it was it was really Takaya from Strega that I was imagining.
I mean, this is our podcast, okay? We make up the rules
We
however
do
we
what
want them
we
to
want.
be,
We do what we want.
unapologetically. It's our new
Okay, so
slogan.
talk to me about your casting for Rigulus.
So I chose Tanner Buchanan. This is one of those things where I don't know where I know him from. Okay. I
Okay.
I know him. I know I've seen him in movies. Maybe it was a TV show. I'm not clear. My brain cannot hold information that long, okay? But he is who I pictured because he's described as like old as time,
Yeah.
but he takes the form of a young boy. Like very boyish features, very innocent, but his eyes look dangerous. And this is what I envisioned. Young, boyish, still kind of got an innocent glow to him, but also looks like he might would be able to rip you to shreds if he needed to.
So
That's what I got.
he is on the Cobra Kai reboot TV show. That's what I know him from. I just literally had to look him up because I was like, that's gonna bother me. I'm sure he's done other
I
stuff.
I can't figure it out because I didn't watch Cobra Kai.
And this is the new one, not the old one, just for clarification.
I'm stumped. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know him from somewhere. It may not even be that I actually watched it. It could have just been I saw clips of something he was in on TikTok because that's 90% of my life at this point.
yeah. Well,
Who knows?
I totally buy the casting. I think yours is probably again more book accurate. I don't I don't know. My brain is weird, okay? But I can see it. I think
I did like yours though, because isn't he described in the book with white hair, like blonde hair?
see, at this
I don't think
point
he
I
has dark
don't
hair.
remember the book description because this has been in my head for so long that like, and I probably should have like looked in the book so I could support or defend my theory, but like
Okay, before anybody comes for us, we are more than 2,500 pages past his original
description. Yeah,
detailed description.
that's
At this
valid.
point in the book, all you get is the description of his boyish look. Anything
Yeah.
else was over 2,500 pages ago.
Yeah, it was a while back. It was a while back. Who could possibly say?
Yeah. So nobody come for us, but if you have better fan art or casting options, just tell
Yes.
us.
And
We're open to
I
suggestions.
think I'm gonna post our castings. We'll do like your full cast and my full cast. We'll do that on our socials, so we can check
I
that
like
out.
it.
So let's talk about all of the little Easter eggs, the little hints and stuff that we get in House of Flame and Shadow about what's been going on in Prithian since we left them in Silver Flames.
Yes.
And one of the first things that I noticed that she says is that she uh, slayed a creature or a being named Lanthus.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that specifically, but I feel like it's one of the monsters that they had let out to help them fight in the war that they had to go like track down and slay. But I could be wrong. It could be a totally separate thing that we don't know about
I
yet.
will not lie to you. I don't remember either. It sounds familiar, but I also have a hard time with the names in these books because not only are they so different from names we would use, but in the book, they're all so similar.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of them have the TH, the YS.
Okay,
It's
wait.
it's a theme within the names.
I just Googled it. Lanthus was in the prison in A Court of Silver Flames. I don't know. I don't know that we get any major plot points. And based on my like quick, wiki Google, um he it looks like the only interaction we actually get on the page in A Court of Silver Flames is that they mentioned he's the one that Cassian trapped in a mirror, and they
That's
talk
right.
about the wild hunt, and he's like 15,000 years old or something, shapeshifter. Um but
I do vaguely remember that. Again, this is something that I feel like we're getting set up for the next Acotar book.
yes, I feel like I was looking in every single one of these mentions for, something that is giving us a hint to what's going on. And they talk about in Flame and Shadow that she forged a new sword with ataraxia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I understand how that's possible entirely or what that means.
Everything Sarah J. Moss does is for a reason. Nothing is coincidence. So if it's mentioned, it means something. It's just, does it mean something for the past books or for future books?
So she is forging this sword, and she inadvertently imbues it with her magic, the
Hmm.
power of the silver flames, as she's practicing hammering at this metal. And she ends up making a sword she then uses to kill Lanthus, which was the shapeshifter that was caught in the mirror that she uses the blade to kill Lanthus, who I
Hmm.
don't think is a coincidence that he was 15,000 years old.
Right.
And
Likely
then,
one of the creatures that the Asteri created, like the worm.
exactly. And she also uses it to kill the worm
Yeah.
ultimately. And then Ataraxia, the name of her sword, is actually inner peace in a language that hasn't been spoken in Prithian in 15,000 years, which is the language of the Fae in Midgard.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, hold on.
All of these Easter eggs that just connect to one another between the span of 15,000 years is wild. She went into this book series knowing exactly where she was taking it into the other world.
Okay. So then we have this comment that Nesta makes when she notices Bryce's 8-pointed star that's on her chest from the starlight. And
Hmm.
she admits that she um, knows it because she made a bargain with Cassian. And when they made that bargain, the tattoo of this 8-pointed star appeared on her body.
Right?
And I had to go back and look at what their bargain was because I couldn't remember. And it was she agrees to train with him, and he will owe her a favor for whatever she reasonably wishes.
Hmm.
And it's not
Makes you
clear
wonder.
because they talk about it. Nesta and Bryce talk about it, and Nesta's
Hmm.
not really sure what that means. Like, how does this starborn stuff have to, what does it all mean? And
Right.
I have all those questions also.
I was about to say same, yeah. I would like to know as well. Hopefully I get answers soon.
And so
Probably not.
I can't help but think, so what we know that has happened since we left them is they've started looking for the Dread Trove, and they obviously found this mask that um, Nesta uses whenever they're fighting the Midgard worm. And Asriel, the way Asriel reacts to when she's about to put this mask on, and how she like
Right.
goes like soulless there for a second, and it's just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I need to know this story, and I want the next book to be all of this explained.
I would love answers, but with Sarah J. Maas, I don't hold my breath for answers because I may never get them. She does not answer every question.
But there's another
There's
book
always
coming
a
out.
loose thread. But there will always be a loose thread because she will always leave an opening in case she ever decides to do what she did with Crescent City and bring that world and this new world together.
What, we can't have have a discussion about the overlap and your response be, we're never going to get answers. We're here to talk
Well,
about possible answers.
we
Like,
can theorize all
well,
we'd
yeah,
like,
that's what
but
we're here for.
she will always leave a door open.
Well, right, but
Always.
that's fine. But all the stuff has happened, and I think that it's part of this story that we're going to get more of because we've already been told we're getting another book. And so I think this Dread Trove path that she's on is unfinished because it was more than just the mask. We find out that the horn was actually part of it was made,
Right.
as was the harp, which was like both objects that Thea ended up with, but the harp ended up back in Prithian, obviously, because Nesta used it.
My question is, so there's four objects in the trove, right? There's the mask, the harp, the horn. Ooh, what was the other thing? Nesta had three, and then the horn was in Midgard.
Yes.
So what was the other thing?
Was it ataraxia?
Maybe? I think so.
But I this
I feel like it had to be a weapon.
there has to be a story behind where she got the mask.
My well, we know where she got the mask.
Where?
Where Nesta got it. Because she uses it in Silver Flames. From the lake with like the dead creatures, and then she rose the dead creatures from the lake to fight off whatever it was that was chasing her and Cassian. And then she uses all three of them at the end when she helps Feyre give birth.
She uses I thought she made a bargain with the cauldron
She did, but she put all of that on to be able to access the
to be
soul of
able
the
to
cauldron.
do that.
Yeah, to slow time so that it would
Yeah, yeah,
she
yeah.
could bargain to do all that.
I
But the
remember that.
mask raises the dead.
I completely forgot about the Trove being involved in that.
Yeah. I
Um,
liked the mask though. I had an obsession with the mask for some reason. But my question is, all of these things were made from the cauldron. They are made objects, all four.
yeah,
But they surely were not all made at the exact same time. They're just the Dread Trove because they all came from a
because
cauldron.
they were all made. Yeah.
Does that make Nesta part of the Dead Trove?
Oh my God, he's the seventh Horcrux.
That would also be Elaine.
I'm
That would
just
also make
saying.
Elaine part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yes,
Just
she's
asking questions
technically
here.
part of the Trove.
It's wild, isn't it?
So then that makes
Like,
leads me back to the eight-pointed star showing up when Nesta and Cassian made this bargain. Does
she's
does that
the
mean it's like
Asteri.
a bargain with this essential magic? It's not really just between Nesta and Cassian, it's because she's made.
Maybe. The Asteri the Asteri created the cauldron. And the cauldron created the Dread Trove. And we know that the Asteri is connected to the Starborn line
Wait a
because of the
second.
rival. Let me have it.
Time out. The Asteri didn't make the cauldron.
I thought that
The
Vesperis said that they did.
the cauldron they manipulated the cauldron, but it already existed
That's right.
because the cauldron became referred to as Erd on Midgard, and they referred to it as a person, but really it was the cauldron, which I thought was interesting. But they changed it somehow.
You're right. They embedded like their magic or something into it to make it sentient.
And yes, and that
That's
was
where the change was.
not a great choice, obviously.
Probably not. But the question is they manipulated it, created it to be sentient, or changed it to be
Mm-hmm.
sentient,
Mm-hmm.
and then pulled the dread trove out of this, and anything made is part of the dread trove. But the Asteri is connected to the Starborn. I'm trying to like
Do you have a string
murder
board?
board this.
Yes.
I need to see it clear out in front of me. Like maybe that's what we'll do on our next girls' night
I
is
think we
just create a
should.
murder board.
I
We might know the ending before Sarah J. Maas does.
like I almost feel like after this I have to go back and reread Silver Flames.
I have a desire to reread Acotar, but I'm not gonna lie, these books are, if you look at page wise, they are the same size, and it's a whole lot of book right now. I think I just need a novel after this.
It's the same amount of pages altogether.
I don't know exactly, but considering
It definitely
e-
seems like it, considering how much.
Akatar is like what, 400 pages? We're gonna say 300 pages on average because some of them are actually smaller than that, but there's
Yeah,
six of them.
yeah.
And then there's three
It's
Crescent City
probably
books,
about
but
the
they're
same.
8 to 900. Yeah.
No, you're right. No, I'm with you. It's a lot.
I do have a desire to go back though, because I want to try to find every last Easter egg that I can. But
Well,
that's a
and
lot at this current moment.
I'm gonna tell
I'm gonna need
you my next read before I do that is gonna be to read Throne of Glass because there's some sort of connection with that to these other two. But I don't know what it is because I've never read Throne of Glass. So I'm gonna read
oh,
it
Sarah J. Maas.
and I'll tell you about it.
I am. I don't know if I want to kiss or hit Sarah J. Maas.
Both. I want to do
Just because
both.
that brain is just brilliant.
I
I
want to
mean,
like push her up against the wall and then kiss her.
slap her then kiss her.
Yeah. Bad. Bad. But thank you.
Angry at her, but I am so in awe of her.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this revisit, this, time has obviously passed. There's a reference to their kid, Farah and Rhysand's kid, whose name is escaping me right now. Um, and we just get like the barest glimpses of, but we may have a little more to discuss once we're done with Flame and Shadow altogether. And
Yeah.
so that will be next week. We're going to finish up Flame and Shadow, and then it'll be on to your choice.
Oh, we're getting
And
some smut next time,
I'm looking
guys.
forward to a nice, quick, and dirty little smut book.
I think we needed after the blue balls of a book that this was. Don't get me wrong. Love the book. Great book.
Yeah.
But the dark romance girly in me needs.
There will be pickles in the second half.
I'm okay now that I've gotten the pickle. I've got like another week before I'm gonna need another one. It's all right.
Well, I just wanted to give you something to look forward to in the second half of Flame and Shadow.
I'm not gonna deny it though. Like I'm not gonna
Not
turn
gonna
it
turn
away.
it down.
Uh, if it stops by, I'm gonna say hi.
Destiny will not be skipping those pages.
Who do I look like? Mother Teresa? No, not happening. I will be here for it.
uh, okay, wait. There's one last thing. They talk about the Asteri put kill switches into the worlds that they took
Yeah,
over, and the cauldron is a kill switch.
that's
So
definitely coming into the next book. You
exactly,
know it
like
is.
that can't be. That's a problem. Somebody needs to do something about that, and I need to hear
That's
about it in detail
yeah.
from Azriel's point of view as he finds the love of his life. Please and thank you.
Is it just me, or does everybody else also hope it's Elaine?
Uh, what are we gonna do about Lucian?
I don't know. He chose his side. I'm sorry.
I love. Listen, I ship Elaine and Azrael all the way. I just can't help but want Lucian to figure out how to be happy somehow.
Okay, don't get me wrong.
Although, if I had to choose between Azrael being unhappy and Lucian, obviously, sorry, Lucian, like Azrael wins, but I'd like for them both to be happy.
Here's my thing. Is we know how Sarah J. Maas works, right? She's always going to zig when you expect her to zag.
Yeah.
And the fact that Elaine and Lucian are technically mates, but she wants nothing to do with him. He's got his own issues, and Azriel is in love with Elaine. I mean, we've got this weird triangle here.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense that she would go against the traditional norm of you have to be with your mate to put them two together and have Lucian fall in love with somebody else. And he still get his happy ending. But it doesn't have to be with the mate because it is said in the books. She mentions it, which nothing
Yeah,
is by accident. She
that's
mentions that
true.
just because you are mates, you don't have to be together. You can fall in love with somebody else. Nothing she does is an accident.
That's true.
I'm also partial to Asriel, so
Can you imagine? Okay, like that's Lucian's story is that like he ends up with like you're not my mate, but you'll do.
I think
That
he
would be
would be
cruel.
happy. The way
That
that
would
I
be
see it,
cruel.
the way that I see it is that him and Elaine don't match up, but her and Asriel do. She's very sweet, soft spoken, but can be stern if she needs to be, and he's very dark, mysterious, brooding, doesn't talk a lot, and she can do all
Mm-hmm.
the talking for him,
Mm-hmm.
like in the conversation between the two. I don't think she would ever be able to see past what Lucian did to her sister because he was a part of it, even if he didn't want to be or he regretted it or he still was there. He didn't exactly try to stop any of it.
Yeah,
I don't see her looking past that, and he made his bed.
that's
If he
true.
finds love, whether it's his mate or not, he'll be lucky for it. I like him because I
That's
get it,
true.
but
Yeah,
I'm also partial to Asriel.
I
That's
just
just
wouldn't want to
me.
be that girl. You know, can you imagine the complex that you would have trying to be the substitute, the
I
plan
think
B, the consolation prize?
I can't say that I wouldn't feel that way, but I would also hope that I would look at it as he chose me over his mate.
I
Because it
mean,
wouldn't just be Elaine
that's
who had to
awful.
choose that,
That's
make
awful
that
well
decision.
adjusted of you, Destiny.
It happens on occasion. Don't judge me.
You're making me look bad over here.
Well, because in order to sever that mate bond and be with other people, they both have to agree on it, don't they?
I don't know how it works. I don't know if they what if it's better if they both reject it. But like also,
Maybe.
regardless, when you have made mates in the story like Farah and Resand, Nesta and Cassian, Hunt and Bryce, like
Yeah.
it's like anything short of that seems
But a
tragic.
love that. But to find somebody that you love more than you could possibly love your mate, that is a big love.
That's true.
Because if you can love somebody more than your soul bound mate, that's big. That's big love.
Well,
But also, I could be completely wrong in all of this, and she ends up with Lucian, and as we end up finding some mate for Asriel. Who
she's not
knows?
so
We don't know anything about Asriel.
we
Not
haven't
really.
gotten like she just released the last of the Crescent City series about a year ago, like a year ago January-ish, I want to say. And so I feel like that should mean her time is freed up to start writing some Acotar content. I'm just saying.
We all need the book. We need the book. I think it's been long enough that we deserve it. And especially now with all these little breadcrumbs that she's spreading around in her other books.
And I've been
Come on,
conned.
Maas.
I've
Let's get
officially
it.
been conned into reading a like 8-book series that has mild smut at most, just so that I can
Mm.
get these crumbs of something that overlap with these other 2 books that I'm obsessed with.
Not me hoping that you do not bring this book into the podcast.
I don't foresee me. This will probably be the most I will take us on a journey of however many episodes this is. But this series is worth it. I couldn't live with myself doing a book podcast and not have covered Crescent City.
To be clear, I am the dark romance girl. I have said that like a million times. People are probably tired of hearing it. But I say that because
Never.
it speaks so much to the way that we go about getting into a book. You lean more towards the romantasy, so you're expecting slow burns, not
Yes.
a whole lot of smut, uh, long series with lots of politics and background and complexities. Whereas
All the world building.
I'm not saying my books don't have that, but it's more heavily leaning towards smut and depravity. And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay. Hey, look, we've been on a reading journey together far longer than we've been doing this podcast, and
So much longer.
I have read some really great dark romance because of you and your recommendations. So,
I read Acotar because of you, and that speaks for itself. Because I
I
was against it. I thought it was way too hyped up, and I was like, I'm not joining this mainstream trend. And then you got me. You got me.
I did.
So that's how that happened.
But I have some when it's my turn, I think I'm going to switch it up on you a little bit. So, You just
I
stay
I want
strapped
to point
in.
out, I am still going to agree to any book that you are like, okay, this is what we're going to cover this week. I'm okay. I will do it all because of
That's
two reasons. One, I love books, and two, I love you.
Oh,
So
see, that's a real declaration of friendship right there. Let it be known. Let it be known. That's a real friend. Come
don't
come on
expect it
this
often.
come on this journey with me.
Regardless of how long the book series is, though, we will always figure out how to make it work in a timely manner for the podcast. So don't count out any book series just because they're long. We'll figure it out.
We're professionals, damn it.
Um,
I can't even say that with
maybe
a straight
someday.
face. I can't even say that with a straight face.
Maybe someday. Not today. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this special episode of A Novel Affair.
Don't forget to turn on your notifications so you don't miss our next episode.
Join us anywhere you get your podcasts for a full breakdown, uncensored review of our favorite and not so favorite smut books and scenes.
Be sure to follow us on social media for information about our upcoming episodes. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks for watching.